Peter Parker. And the girlfriend.
I want you to find your friend, Spider-Man. Tell him to meet me at the West Side Tower at 3 o'clock.
Well, I don't know where he is.
Find him.
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my new Spider-Man 3 No Way Home video. For all the Dr. Octopus stuff from this past week, you may have seen Alfred Molina was doing his best to join the spoiler bros, Tom Holland and Mark Ruffalo, and give away all the details about Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 3. So we'll break it down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Because this gets into big Spider-Verse stuff, there's also a lot of multiverse time travel coming up in the Loki Disney Plus series. I'll be doing episode videos for that after Falcon and Winter Soldier, just like the WandaVision episode videos I did. We're still in the middle of Falcon and Winter Soldier right now. And the funny thing is, there is a connection between what's happening on Falcon and Winter Soldier right now and what's happening during the events of Spider-Man 3 No Way Home. So I'll explain that during the video too. It's a smaller crossover moment. Falcon and Winter Soldier doesn't have as much influence on what's happening during Spider-Man 3 as, say, like WandaVision or Doctor Strange 2 does. But because we're covering the Spider-Verse of it all here, I'll explain how this all ties together with the other Marvel Phase 4 movies like Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness. That's going to be the biggest crossover connection because Doctor Strange is going to be a major character during Spider-Man 3. But recently, you all probably saw the news from this past week. Alfred Molina from Spider-Man 2, Dr. Octopus himself, did this big exclusive interview with Variety to explain how and why he came back as Dr. Octopus for Spider-Man 3 No Way Home. He explained what that's going to look like, what they talked to him about, how they explained the logic of him coming back, because it's like, didn't I die at the end of Spider-Man 2? How are you going to bring me back? And he's coming from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. It's like a whole different universe of the multiverse, or Spider-Verse, because we're talking about Spider-Man here. So thankfully, he did confirm that he was going to be coming back as his version of Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2. So they are going full-blown Spider-Verse. When he was first announced to be coming back, Dr. Octopus, it was after they announced Jamie Foxx's Electro was coming back from the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man movies. So hearing that Tobey Maguire's Dr. Octopus was coming back, at the time, a lot of us just naturally assumed there was some loose confirmation of some kind of Spider-Verse happening during the movie. But really, it wasn't until Alfred Molina's interview from the past couple of days that we got official confirmation on that. So he just started his interview by joking about the level of secrecy around all the Marvel movies and how the actors, of course, are ordered to keep their mouths shut on pain of death, as is the Marvel way. But he said that the actors on set were reading the news about the movie every day that the trades were reporting and seeing that pretty much everybody around the world knew what was up. They knew he was going to be in the movie. So he was like, what's the point if everybody knows about this big Spider-Verse crossover with the Sinister Six villains coming back? He basically pulled an Ian McShane Game of Thrones. If you remember when he guest starred on Game of Thrones a couple seasons ago, he gave away some big plot details early on before his character debuted in the episodes. And then when a bunch of people made this really big deal about it, he basically said, who cares? It's only tits and dragons. It's not a big deal. Like, they're not going to fire me. They just filmed all my scenes. They spent all this money. They're not going to delete me out of the episodes. So Alfred Molina is in that rarefied air where he's like, they're not going to delete Dr. Octopus out of Spider-Man 3 after they spent millions and millions of dollars to put me in there with all this special effects and everything. Rolling like a true Sinister Six villain, he does not give an F. But when he said the director, John Watts, spoke to him about coming back as Dr. Octopus, he said that Dr. Octopus's story in the movie of Spider-Man No Way Home would begin the moment Dr. Octopus hit the water in the river at the end of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2. Like, they're going to begin with his character when he's slowly floating down to the bottom of the river. And because, obviously, that's in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man universe, obviously that raises a couple questions, explaining how, one, he didn't die from just drowning into the river there, two, how he winds up in the MCU main universe, traveling the multiverse, or three, I guess you could say how Tom Holland's Spider-Man might wind up in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man universe. Like, one of these characters at some point has to travel between universes of the multiverse, or Spider-Verse, because we're talking about Spider-Man here. That's the only thing he didn't confirm. Who is traveling to whose universe? But right now, I'm just going to assume that they're going to go with the simplest possible explanation for all of this, just so that your average audience goer who isn't a big Spider-Man stan can understand and follow the plot. And it's all these other Sinister Six characters that they've announced for the movie so far, like Electro, Dr. Octopus, and the other versions of Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man potentially, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man potentially. All of them coming to the MCU main universe, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man just glimpsing other universes briefly. Like, some of the characters they've announced will probably just be small cameos, but some of the characters like Dr. Octopus, as Alfred Molina tells it, will be major characters during the movie. If they do announce any more details about how they're handling all the different Spider-Verse universes, I will include that in a new video, because that is where things start to get kind of complicated. But the other big details that Alfred Molina revealed about his Dr. Octopus is that he's a big part of the movie. Like I said, it's not just a super quick cameo scene, and he will have major fight scenes with Spider-Man. And when they were figuring out how that was going to work, he said that because he's almost 20 years older now, it's been about 17 years since Spider-Man 2. Don't you all feel old, everybody that saw it in a theater? He said that he was worried about being able to do the action scenes just practically because he's so much older. And the way he said that John Watts explained it to him, the Marvel producers, is that they were going to do the majority of his action scenes as motion capture, and they would just use some of the digital de-aging technology on him the way they used it in Ant-Man and the Wasp or Avengers Endgame, or even like Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian Season 2 to make Mark Hamill look younger. It's all the same technology because this is Disney we're talking about. They do Star Wars, they do Marvel stuff too. And for all the fight scenes, the action scenes, when they weren't using stunt doubles for any practical stuff they needed to do, John Watts just joked that the tentacles would be doing most of the actual work, Dr. Octopus's tentacles. So just because the technology is so much more advanced now, it's much easier to have these older actors come back and do stuff like this. Alfred Molina also joked that he would be doing a lot of killing and smashing during the movie, so it will be true hardcore Dr. Octopus. And even though we got a whole bunch of Jamie Foxx spoilers early on, like he was posting spoilers to his Instagram account and he's been pretty quiet lately, Tom Holland did say that they filmed one of the largest action scenes in movie history earlier this year, and it took him an entire month to film the scene. So I think it's pretty easy to guess that that massive action scene is some sort of big Sinister Six style battle with multiple villains, like Electro, Dr. Octopus fighting Spider-Man. Just imagine the biggest, craziest version of that with really solid visual effects and fight choreography. There have been some really solid Spider-Man fight scenes in the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, but technology has just come so far in the few years since the Andrew Garfield movies. Speaking of more Tobey Maguire Easter eggs too, there have been rumors about other Sinister Six villains coming back for smaller cameos in Spider-Man 3, like Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, but I don't know if that's true. It's just a rumor right now. The connection between Spider-Man 3 No Way Home and what's happening on Falcon and Winter Soldier right now, the crossover stuff, is all about Falcon slowly becoming the next Captain America. And recently on the set of Spider-Man No Way Home, this prop of a poster of the Statue of Liberty was spotted. Apparently during the events of Spider-Man No Way Home, the Statue of Liberty is going to be depicted holding Captain America's shield. So whatever's going on during Spider-Man 3, there's some huge Captain America stuff happening in the MCU during the events of the film. And based on what's happening with Falcon and Winter Soldier right now, I'm assuming that it's just the government running a massive PR tour campaign for Falcon when he takes the mantle officially. The events of Falcon and Winter Soldier take place a couple months before the events of Spider-Man Far From Home, and the events of Spider-Man 3 obviously take place quite a bit after that as well, so we're way past the events of Falcon and Winter Soldier when we get to Spider-Man 3. So Falcon would have been Captain America for at least several months. The whole multiverse Spider-Verse connection to the Marvel Disney Plus shows really starts with what's happening on WandaVision, or what happened on WandaVision. So in the WandaVision post-credit scene, we see Wanda, Scarlet Witch, reading from the Darkhold, learning about the prophecy that it says about her, learning about more powerful magic, and using it to try and find her children, Billy and Tommy, somewhere else in the multiverse. That's why you heard their voices crying out for help at the end. Wanda's power in the MCU comes from chaos magic. Chaos magic, they just explained, is magic that comes without a cost. She doesn't need to borrow her magic from any other dimensions like Doctor Strange does. She doesn't need to steal it like Agatha Harkness has to steal magic from other people in order to power herself up. And they say that it's magic of pure creation. Like you talk about the Infinity Stones, the background cosmic radiation that the Hex was giving off. She was literally creating things out of nothingness, like her children. So the idea is that she's this super OP, top-tier character in the MCU now, one of the most powerful characters in the MCU, and she starts wrecking around the multiverse, crashing through dimensions, looking for her children, wielding chaos magic in a way that she doesn't fully understand yet. The whole idea is that chaos magic comes from Chthon, the god of chaos, in the MCU. So there's obviously this big connection to him in the comics. I don't know how much of that comic book story they're going to be doing in the movies, but the whole idea is that Wanda creating all this chaos in the multiverse is what leads to different universes crossing over with others. So that sounds like a jumping off point for how Dr. Octopus travels from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man universe to Tom Holland's MCU Spider-Man universe. Remember, this is the Marvel movies. They tend to keep things really simple at the end of the day, so whatever it is, just expect the Cliff's Notes version of that. I will do more videos about Doctor Strange 2 and what's happening with Chaos Magic, Scarlet Witch crossing over with Doctor Strange. That's going to be really exciting, and they just finished filming that movie, so we'll probably get a trailer for that by November this year, because that movie's coming out right after Spider-Man 3. So that's obviously the big connection too, is because those movies are directly connected. Probably going to see some sort of crossover moment with Doctor Strange 2 at the end of Spider-Man 3. Like we saw that big Thor Ragnarok post-credit scene at the end of the first Doctor Strange movie, and then literally that scene happened, or the events of that scene happened during Thor Ragnarok. But everyone post all your predictions and your theories in the comments below. We will get a full Spider-Man 3 No Way Home trailer sometime really soon, and probably a new Venom 2 trailer as well. While you wait for everything, everyone click here for that brand new Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 6 finale trailer, and click here for that Spider-Man 3 No Way Home teaser trailer. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys tonight.